Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M Aggies have had a really productive offseason in the recruiting department. From hosting events that garnered the attention of multiple of the nation's top prospects to winning multiple head-to-head battles in the past few weeks, we need to talk about what it is Jimbo and the Aggies have going on there. But before we do, as always, y'all know the drill. I want to hear from y'all. Hop down in the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. And given that Texas A&M is locked in a two-team battle for one of the nation's premier players and five-star defensive tackle Bear Alexander, do you believe that the Texas A&M Aggies will win that battle over the Georgia Bulldogs? Let me know what you're thinking there. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And with the season right around the corner, I have a lot of cool stuff planned, and I would love to have you a part of the journey. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to like and comment down below. But with all of that being said, let's talk about what it is Jimbo and the Aggies have going in recruiting, and we'll start with Deon Bowie because I was actually on the road when he committed and I wasn't able to talk about it. But I had talked about this situation before when both he and Bear Alexander decommitted from the Georgia Bulldogs, and at the time I highlighted a name that was currently on staff at Texas A&M but had used to be on staff at Georgia, and that is Nick Williams. This was a great hire by Jimbo and the Aggies. This was an individual that had a really good relationship with Bouie and Alexander, and we can see that relationship come to fruition. Now, I'm not contending that the only reason Bouie is at A&M is because of Nick Williams. Jimbo and them have been doing a really solid job recruiting across the board, but it certainly helps, and we can see that in the result that they were able to flip an incredibly talented prospect, one of the most coveted in the nation, and keep him away from another SEC team, and then add in his talent to your team, which is exactly what you like. But that isn't the only head-to-head win they have, and we talked before about Bryce Anderson, and I kind of want to talk about that further, because what a win to get. Bryce Anderson was another individual who you were locked in a one-on-one battle with the Texas Longhorns to keep one of the state's most talented players home. Now, you were ultimately able to win that battle over Texas, and that's huge for a few reasons. First and foremost, Bryce Anderson was a key piece to both the A&M class and the Longhorns class. So now the Longhorns are back at the drawing board while Texas A&M is looking at a really talented player that they are very excited to ultimately get on campus. And then you talk about what he does for the class as a whole. When you have the talent that you do in this class, from the five-star quarterback to one of the nation's top defensive backs, other individuals want to play for that class. And now we can see, adding in Bouie, this is going to be a really interesting class for us to watch going forward. But it's not just relegated to 2022. And in fact, the other day, they got a massive commitment in the class of 2023 in tight end Theodor Ohrstrom from Sweden. Now, this is a really cool story, and for those of you that have been around the channel for a while or who watch a lot of my videos, Ohrstrom is a part of the same group that Hero Canoe is. Hero Canoe is an individual that I found out about early on in maybe January or February, and I started talking about, and since this player has absolutely skyrocketed because Hero Canoe, in my opinion, is one of the most talented players in all of football right now going on to be recruited, and I think that he is a story that is fascinating. But he is not alone, and in fact, the whole group that Hero Canoe finds himself traveling with are filled with incredibly talented players, and Ohrstrom is one of them. Being the #1 player out of Sweden, he is a top 200 player nationwide in the class of 2023 and is currently ranked as a top 20 tight end in the nation. This is an individual that could easily rise because he is now getting prominent experience with other players likewise in skill that he can build himself off of. Remember, iron sharpens iron, and now that you have these individuals such as Hero Canoe and Theodor Ohrstrom competing against other top prospects week in, week out at these camps, that's only going to accelerate what they're able to do. He is an individual that Texas A&M has got to be very excited they get into part of this class, because he's an individual that I think the nation is going to be watching as his time comes. I think he's an incredibly exciting individual, and that whole Dream Chasers tour that Hero Canoe and himself are a part of is really, really interesting to me. It's something that I really think is going to be very key moving forward for us to keep an eye on, because I think there's a lot of guys in that group that we can ultimately see playing college football. But now let's talk about Bear Alexander, the 5-star defensive tackle out of the state of Texas. And Bear Alexander is an incredibly coveted prospect, but he has a final 2 of Georgia and Texas A&M. Now, Texas A&M has some of their premier recruiters after Bear Alexander. Let's get this straight. And when we look at who it is Texas A&M has, we have Elijah Robinson and Terry Price. Now, Terry Price has found himself a part of a multitude of top battles, whether we're talking about Myles Garrett, whether we're talking about Dalen Mack, and both Elijah Robinson and Terry Price were both involved in the battle for 5-star defensive tackle DeMarvin Leal. So these guys know how to recruit top-level guys. So that right there is something big for the Aggies. But the one thing we're looking at is they're going up against Georgia. We know what it is Georgia does on the recruiting trail. Georgia recruits with the best of them. They are a phenomenal institution at recruiting. Between Kirby Smart and all of the good coaches they have on roster, they don't have trouble finding top-level talent to come play for them. And because of that, this is going to be a battle that is really intriguing because Bear Alexander is a premier player in this year's class, one that every institution in the nation would love to get a part of their class. So this is a name that we're going to have to watch going forward. He, along with Bouie, were a part of that Georgia Bulldogs class, both of them decommitted, and also once again highlighting the name Nick Williams. He also has a good relationship reportedly with Bear Alexander, so that's something we have to watch going forward. I am really interested in hearing from y'all because the Aggies have been doing really well on the trail, both in the 22 class, but moving forward into the 23 class, they have a really intriguing player at that tight end position, a part of a really intriguing group that we're going to have to keep our eye on, because I think there's multiple players out of that traveling group that are going to be finding themselves on a college football team sooner rather than later. That's it from me. Hop down in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. See ya.